Speaking today in chapel is Wabash's Sports Information Director, Brent Harris. Harris is completing his 13th year as the Director of Sports Information and Marketing at the college. He came to Wabash in 1999 after working in television, newspaper, and radio for several different media markets. He attended Illinois State University, majoring in technical theater. He got his start in sports at WCVL, WIMC Radio, hired as a part-time weekend disc jockey, and eventually became the sports director, program director, and chief operating engineer for the station. Brent has also worked for ESPN, installing in-car cameras as a pit lane talent technical coordinator and stage for racing programs from off-road racing to IndyCar. He was part of the Emmy Award-winning crew that developed the tread cam used at Indianapolis Raceway Park for Saturday night sprint and midget car races. Brent is an honorary member of the Sphinx Club and was recently named an honorary alumnus of Wabash College as a member of the class of 2003. Here to give his talk titled, "I Was at Wabash When," is Brent Harris.
Thank you, Tyler, and thank you, Ryan Lutz, for the invitation to speak at chapel today. You know, many people complain that email is an impersonal form of communication. Well, if you believe that, you've never received an email from Ryan. He asked me last Wednesday to fill in due to a last-minute cancellation of the scheduled speaker, and his request was worded in such a way that if I had refused, I would have felt like, in the words of a former ESPN announcer and MSNBC talking head, the worst person in the world. So instead of saying no, I begged for a few hours to consider, which Ryan graciously granted. As I was typing my much less eloquent response to Mr. Lutz, my boss, Jim Amadon, sent me a text message asking me to fill in for him at chapel. Now, you see, Jim was not the original speaker scheduled either, but Ryan was hedging his bets and had gone to his best option for a last-minute replacement. Well, I really had no choice now. There was no way I could turn down Ryan, and Jim's text message sealed my fate. So here I stand before you, in sports terms, the Curtis Painter of chapel talks. And remember, I work for the Indianapolis Colts, so I can get away with saying that. I am a third-string quarterback, just hoping not to throw an interception or fumble the snap. I'm thrilled to be back at the same place where 6 months ago, the alumni of Wabash College allowed me to join their ranks as an honorary alumnus. Fittingly, the occasion was a small part of the Hollett Homecoming Awards Chapel. Named for Byron Hollett, class of 1936, better known as Barney, and for his wife, Fran, who is an honorary alumna of the class of 1985. Well, I'm also sad to be here today. The reason is, at this very moment in Indianapolis, Fran's funeral service is taking place. I'd rather be there, honoring Fran and her lifetime love and support of Wabash College. See, Fran particularly loved Little Giant sports teams, and I was proud to serve as the Master of Ceremonies for her induction into the Athletics Hall of Fame in 2006. I can still remember when she came up to me before the ceremony, gave me a big hug and said, "You know you're my date this evening, don't you?" Well, I beamed with pride as I read her citation as part of my regular duties at the ceremony. Well, many of you certainly know the Hollett name, even if you never had a chance to meet Barney or Fran. Every day in the fall, Wabash football players practice in the stadium named in Barney's honor, and Saturdays we gather to watch those same Little Giants excel on the football gridiron. That edifice might bear his name, but Fran's presence could be seen every Saturday until her health no longer allowed her to attend the games. Her love of Wabash carried over to every part of the college. In her 70s, Fran still perused the website daily and received emails from me, phone calls from her dear friend Jenny Hayes until her passing, and kept updated on the success of Wabash students, faculty, staff, and alumni from her home in Indianapolis. She was always proud of the accomplishments each of you provided. You see, even if you didn't know her, Fran felt she knew each and every one of you. On second thought, maybe it's appropriate I'm not at the Meridian Street United Methodist Church in Indianapolis today. I would be one of many seated in the sanctuary, hoping to be comforted by words from those who knew her maybe even better than I. Perhaps it's better I'm here today. where her spirit resides at one of her favorite places on this campus to share with you her love of Wabash College. Well, with that in mind, let's turn to my actual chapel talk, or as we say in the sports broadcasting business, that's our pregame show. We'll be back with the opening tip right after this. In true broadcasting form, I'm even going to provide the commercial break. Tyler mentioned I was a technical theater and stagecraft major at Illinois State University. I still carry a love of theater in my heart, and if you doubt me, check out my iPhone or iPad or travel with Howard Hewitt and I on a Friday and Saturday to football games. There you can enjoy Howard and I providing renditions of Phantom of the Opera, listen to different versions of Les Miserables, revel in the singing of Ken Howard as Thomas Jefferson in 1776, or hear Angela Lansbury and George Hearn share their special list of ingredients used in Mrs. Lovett's pies provided by nefarious barber Sweeney Todd. I've returned to the theater as a lighting designer for the upcoming show, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, which runs April 13th through the 15th and 20th through the 22nd at the Vanity Theater in downtown Crawfordsville. Plenty of good seats still available. You can watch the talents of Wabash legend Jerry Bowie and theatrical newcomer A.J. Akinrobade under the direction of the aforementioned Jim Amidon. Now, back to our chapel talk. When Ryan asked me to do this talk, I realized the timing was actually perfect. The NCAA is preparing for its inaugural Division III week, a celebration by member schools of the division's unique philosophy that equally values academics, athletics, and student-athletes' involvement in a full and rich campus life. The event runs from April 9th through 15th. Well, unfortunately, during that week, nearly all of the Little Giant sports teams will be on the road, with the exception of the golf team participating in the Giant Engineer Golf Classic on April 11th at the Crawfordsville Country Club. Since we won't be able to schedule a grand celebration of Division III student athletics on campus that week, I thought today might be a good opportunity to share some history of Little Giant sports and put some perspective on what we are all witnessing. Perhaps one of the greatest periods of accomplishment in the history of Wabash College athletics. As many of you know, I grew up in Crawfordsville. While growing up, I ran around in high school with Chris Zimmerman, the son of Dr. John and Margaret Zimmerman. You probably all know John better as Dr. Z. Tim Brooks, the son of Dr. Austin and Lucy Brooks, was another good friend, and together we spent a lot of time on this very campus as high school students, which provided a great opportunity for me to witness some amazing teams at Wabash College. Now, part of my duties as sports information director includes serving on the Athletics Hall of Fame nominating committee. These are just a few of the notes, letters, and official forms we've received in the past year from alumni noting a worthy member of the college to be considered for entry into the Hall of Fame. Now, every one of these begins almost the exact same way. I was at Wabash when so-and-so set this record. I was at Wabash when this team, led by this individual, accomplished something that meant so much to me and so much to the rest of the college. Now, I love to read those forms. It allows me to gather information about the athletic legends that have dotted the history of this institution. I never had the opportunity to see many of them compete in a Wabash uniform. But several are familiar names, athletes I watched as a high school student or as a media member covering the Little Giants. More recently, many of the names are familiar, athletes I've watched and written about during my 13 years here as the SID. So I can join many of these alums when they say, I was at Wabash when the 1977 football team made its march to Phoenix City, Alabama for the NCAA championship game. I watched the Little Giants that season from the stands of what was then Little Giant Stadium. Barney's name would not be added until 1998. Like many, I was thrilled to watch Dave Harvey's pinpoint passing, Randy Mellinger's ability to run and catch the football, producing yard after yard on offense, Mick Martin's skill in eluding tacklers after another big pass reception. Surely no football team would ever be able to replicate that team's greatness and bring Wabash to the forefront of the football world again. A few years later, I was at Wabash as a senior in high school, watching this big redhead run up and down the basketball court after playing on the football field. His name was Pete Metzelaars, and he dominated both sports with his size and speed. As much fun as it was to watch Pete and his teammate, Darryl Johnson, an amazing running back at the Division III level, who played the year prior, and Dave Broker, one of the greatest quarterbacks to play at Wabash, excel on the football field, it was even more fun to watch Pete at Chadwick Court. This big, lanky guy flew up and down the court, scoring at will, while meshing with teammates Kerry Seward, Merlin Nice, Teddy Parker, Jim Beagle, Mike Holcomb, and others. We all witnessed the incredible run to the 1982 Division III National Championship, orchestrated by this young coach from Ohio named Mac Petty. Well, everybody in the community thought the same thing. Well, it's really a shame that guy is not going to stay around here very long with these other job offers he's going to have, but at least it was a good run for a few years with Coach Petty here. That turned out a little differently, as we didn't realize Coach Mack had already found the perfect place for him. Watching that basketball team once again, many of us believed it was something we would never witness again. When I returned to Crawfordsville after going to school at Illinois State, I came to work at the radio station, where I met a young sports information director that had just taken the job recently by the name of Jim Amadon. Jim told me about this group of young cross-country runners he had, and they were coached by the same guy that used to yell words of encouragement to me during my days as a cross-country runner at Crawfordsville High School. This guy's name was Rob Johnson. I always wondered why people thought he was a great coach. I mean, how good could he be if he's at my meets watching me run and trying to recruit me at Wabash? I was not a star cross-country runner by any stretch of the imagination. Well, to follow that up, Amadon told me about these three really offbeat runners that ran these unbelievable training distances and then would do silly things like go water skiing in dresses. Now, if you don't believe that happened, it did. I don't know why they did it, but if you want the answer to that question, what you need to do is head out to track practice later this afternoon and ask Coach Roger Bush, because he was part of the three amigos, Jeremy Wright, Scott Gall, and Coach Bush, that did that regularly. So the good news is, when his daughter gets a little older, if Cassie doesn't explain how to wear dresses properly, maybe Roger has an opportunity to do that. Despite Roger's penchant to go water skiing in dresses, they still turned in amazing results once the gun sounded. But I still thought, really? A world-class coach? The guy that used to come out to our meets? Well, then I learned just how good Rob Johnson was and how good his teams of the 90s were, because I was at Wabash covering the school as a sports announcer when Kent Baker and then the three amigos dominated Division III cross-country. Johnson's teams earned multiple trips to the NCAA National Championship meet, once recording a perfect score at the regionals and earning a third-place finish in 1995, along with a fourth-place finish as well. I was at Wabash when a nice, sweet lady that I knew from my kindergarten days, when she and my mom served as room mothers at the elementary school. See, the responsibility of the room mother was to bring treats when one of the kids in the class had a birthday. So my mom and this nice young lady were favorites among all the kids in my kindergarten class. Well, in the 90s, that nice young lady, many of you may know her as Gail Pebworth, was the swimming coach here at Wabash College. Well, she may have looked like a nice, sweet lady. She was as tough as any coach at any level. She demanded the best from her student athletes in the pool and from everyone that worked with the program. Gail and Jim one time asked me to help out at the Wabash Invitational in Indianapolis, and then at the Liberal Arts Invitational that was being held at then the brand new Crawfordsville High School Aquatic Center. Well, that provided me the opportunity to watch some of the greatest swimmers in Wabash College history, the Turk brothers, Eric Verdine, Andy Lucky, all of them competing on their way to multiple All-America honors. I was covering Wabash College, and I was here when Kelly House and Terry Blackburn dominated the pitching mound at Mud Hollow Field and produced pitching numbers that we thought would never be equaled. I came here as an SID when Matt Wilhelm got an opportunity to go to the NCAA Division I College World Series to compete in the Rawlings Home Run Challenge as one of the top home run hitters in Division III. Also, while I was here, Matt McGuire was striking out everyone he faced, or at least it seemed that way as a pitcher for the Little Giants. There would never be players like that to grace the diamond at Wabash again, or so we thought. I was also at Wabash in my first days as a sports information director when the college made its transition to membership in the North Coast Athletic Conference. I remember traveling to those now familiar schools in Ohio and meeting their fans. Now, you have to understand, Wabash had been one of the top teams in the Indiana Collegiate and Heartland Collegiate Athletics Conferences. But when the Little Giants joined the NCAC, many of those Ohio fans predicted Wabash to be more of a middle-of-the-pack school. They kept telling us there's no real way Wabash can even understand the level of competition that the Ohio schools provide. I remember being a young soccer fan and watching some of the best and brightest players in Division III. James Freeman could score with reckless abandon for the young Little Giant program. He was one of few Wabash men to earn an NCAA postgraduate scholarship and finished with a scoring record of 41 career goals that seemed unbreakable until Michael Klump came along in the mid-90s and picked up 53. When I came here as an SID, we added another talented player from Gambia, similar in style and on the pitch to James Freeman. His name, Mamadou Jean. Mo scored a record-setting 61 goals and 137 points during his career, and then decided to tack on an All-America effort in track and field in the triple jump. I was at Wabash when a young man came to the college after having suffered severe vision problems as a child. Blind in one eye, Chris Haley turned his disability into an advantage and became one of the greatest wrestlers to ever step onto a mat here at Wabash, joining legendary names such as Chris Irvin, Jason Allball, and many others. Mark Ratner, Dan Altman, Jay Horry have each placed their names in the Wabash tennis record book as some of the greatest to play for the Little Giants. But I also had the opportunity in high school to watch Kerry Seward excel as a two-sport athlete, not only competing for the Wabash basketball team, but also as one of the best tennis players for the school. Well, there are many more names that I could list. There are those that I haven't seen who are legends in Wabash sports history. Charlie Bowerman in basketball, the exploits of J. Owen Huntsman as a coach, Pete Vaughn, the Huntsmans themselves, Stan and Jerry during their playing careers here, and many, many others. And as great as these names I've listed and stories that I've been telling and have witnessed during their time at Wabash, I truly believe that this may be the greatest time, the golden era of Wabash sports, if you will. I'd like to give you just a small list of accomplishments by your Little Giants over the past 4 seasons when this group of young men who are now seniors came to the college as freshmen. The football team posted a 10-2 record in 2008 and won a North Coast Athletic Conference championship behind NCAC Offensive Player of the Year Matt Hudson. In 2009, they qualified for the NCAA Division III playoffs after having gone to the second round the year before, beating arch-rival DePaul by a score of 32-19 in Greencastle as well, thanks to the help of 6 first-team All-NCAC players. Hudson once again repeated as Offensive Player of the Year. In 2010, on a newly renovated football turf, the Little Giants went 8-2, earning runner-up honors in the North Coast Athletic Conference and posted one of the largest victories in Monon Bell history with a 47-0 victory over DePaul. Weston Kitley, C.J. Gum, and Jonathan Coop earned All-American honors, while Gum was named the NCAC Defensive Player of the Year. This year, a 10-0 record, including a North Coast Athletic Conference championship, another dominating win in the Monon Bell, and a trip to the Elite Eight of the NCAA Division III playoffs to finish with a 12-1 record. C.J. Gum earned Defensive Player of the Year awards again and was a first-team All-American, while Wes Chambly was an honorable mention All-American as a returner and receiver. This senior group has posted a record of 39-7, 2 NCAC championships, and 3 trips to the playoffs during their career here. The Wabash cross-country team returned that program to greatness under their former runner, now head coach, Roger Bush, finishing second in 2010 in the NCAC with 4 all-conference runners, second in the NCAA Great Lakes Regional out of 33 teams, and 13th at the NCAA Division III Nationals, with Seth Einters earning All-American honors with his 20th place finish. That also helped earn Coach Roger Bush Regional Coach of the Year honors. The Little Giants had 4 more runners earn NCAC All-Conference honors this year, with Kevin McCarthy finishing as the runner-up at the conference race before winning the Great Lakes Regional Championship helping Wabash to a second-place finish and another trip to nationals, where the Little Giants finished 16th overall. McCarthy finishing 6th at that national championship event to earn All-America honors. In soccer, we all have witnessed the return of the program with an 8-victory season this year on their new field. Now, Coach Giannini, in beginning his 8th season, had 3 players earn All-North Coast Athletic Conference, 2 seniors, and 1 freshman, showing the strength of the program and its potential to grow. The Wabash basketball team really got the conference championship season rolling the right way last year, kind of setting the early tone. They didn't win the conference championship, but the Little Giants knocked off the #1 and #2 ranked teams in the country here at Chadwick Court. That is the first time in the long history of Wabash basketball that the Little Giants have defeated the #1 and #2 ranked teams in the country. Wabash won 20 games, including a 13-0 start, ranked as high as 7th that season, while Wes Smith earned All-America First Team All-Region honors. This year's team went 18-8 under first-year head coach Antoine Carpenter, with 3 players earning North Coast Athletic Conference honors, and that included an 8-0 start by this squad and a win over the 5th-ranked team in Division III basketball. In wrestling, Greg Rhodes earned back-to-back All-America honors. Again, in the long history of the Wabash wrestling program, the first time a Little Giant grappler has achieved that accomplishment. Wabash also won its 600th all-time dual meet on their way to winning the Max Servies Duels Championship, and posted a 13-3-1 record, while finishing 2nd at the Midwest Regional Championships. Greg Rhodes finished with 47 wins, and Jake Strasbaugh finished with 42. Strasbaugh will eventually become the winningest wrestler at Wabash College. Greg Rhodes is currently the 2nd winningest, behind Chris Haley, who I mentioned earlier. Swimming and diving, no doubt, competes in the toughest conference in the nation. The last 33 national championship teams swim in the North Coast Athletic Conference. Kenyon has won 31 of those championships. Denison has won the last 2 men's national titles. Yet Wabash competes against these teams and competes well. A year ago, Evan Rhinesmith and David Beer earned All-American honors at nationals after capturing individual titles swimming against the best competition in the country at the North Coast Athletic Conference tournament. The Little Giants placed 3rd at the championships while earning all academic team honors. This year, Wabash once again finished in the top 5, earning 4th place honors. The indoor and outdoor track and field teams seem to believe that record books are written in pencil and not typed on the internet. The Wabash indoor track and field team alone has set 18 school records in the last year. The Little Giants have won conference championships twice in the indoor competition in the North Coast Athletic Conference, and won last year's NCAC outdoor title. They have posted numerous All-Americans, including a 2-time 2nd place finish by Jake Waterman in the indoor 800-meter run, a 3rd place finish last year for Seth Einters, competing in the 5,000 meters, and Kevin McCarthy adding to his All-American totals with his recent national championship in the mile run. Coach Bush and Coach Morgan have been recognized repeatedly by their peers for their accomplishments coaching the cross-country team and the indoor and outdoor track and field teams as U.S. Track and Field and Cross-Country Coaching Association Regional Coaches of the Year. All the Wabash baseball team has been able to accomplish is qualify for the NCAC tournament in 2010 behind the efforts of first-team selections John Holm and Montana Timmons. John also earned second-team All-Midwest Region honors before beginning the 2011 season. Wabash opened that season in its brand-new ballpark, which, and I'm prejudiced here, may be the nicest stadium in all of Division III. That season, junior John Holm earned MVP honors at the NCAC tournament, which the Little Giants qualified for once again, and ended up winning the school's first NCAC baseball championship. John also picked up NCAC Player of the Year honors. Three of his teammates earned first-team All-NCAC honors, and Wabash participated in the College World Series at the Division III level for the first time in school history, knocking off the #1 ranked team in the nation in Christopher Newport. For their efforts, Montana Timmons was named to the All-Mid-East region team, and John Holm became the first Wabash College baseball All-American since 1978. In tennis, Wabash recorded a record 17 dual match victories in 2010 and finished third in the NCAC, which helped earn Coach Jason Hutchison Conference Coach of the Year honors for the second time in his career. A year later, the Little Giants set another school record with 18 dual meet victories, again placing third in a very competitive NCAC. Three of those players, Ricky Ritter, Peter Gunderman, and Wade Miller, earned all NCAC honors, and Hutchison was again recognized by his peers as NCAC Coach of the Year. While the golf team does not have as many of the accolades to mention, they do have a young team, and they have this dedicated new coach. Perhaps you've heard of him, some guy named Mac Petty, and they have already shown great promise, and they compete today at the Big Four Classic. You know, Wabash Athletics has always provided fun and enjoyment and a necessary break. It also provides support in hard times. I learned one of those lessons when I was working a soccer match in October of 1999, and my parents called to let me know that my brother, who had been battling diabetes for years and had been in an automobile accident, would not survive. I finished the soccer match with the support of the team and was able to work through that difficult time thanks to the support of this college, and in particular, the athletes who knew me well. I'll also never forget a morning in September 2001. I was getting ready for a Taylor University soccer match that morning, and I was watching the news as I got set to head to the office. I saw the news, as everyone did, that a plane had hit the World Trade Center, thinking, of course, it was a small airplane, and feeling terrible for the pilot, who'd probably had some type of medical emergency. Of course, by the time I got to the office that morning, I found out that things were much different than that. Throughout a series of meetings during the day, Wabash made the decision to continue with business as usual. Faculty members used the opportunity to talk to their students, to comfort them, and to explain the situation as best anyone could. Wabash made the decision to play Taylor that day in soccer as well, although I can tell you there were no cheers. No one yelled or screamed when they scored a goal. It was quiet and a respectful day between the two teams. Wabash also made the decision to play Wheaton College later that Saturday. Now that's important because Wheaton College had a specific connection to the tragedies of September 11th. Todd Beamer was one of the individuals on United Flight 93. Todd was a Wheaton College football player during his time at the college. Wheaton made the decision to play, as did Wabash. Well, I received a call in my office that Friday afternoon before the Saturday game. It was from C. Jamal Horton, who was the Bob Kravitz of the Indianapolis Star at the time. He was the opinion writer, and Jamal could be as tough as Bob Kravitz is now. He called to notify me, I'm coming to Wabash tomorrow. I immediately went into PR mode and thought, uh-oh, we're in trouble. He's going to come and talk about why we shouldn't play this game. I want to read to you what Jamal wrote in the September 16th edition of the Indianapolis Star about coming to Wabash. You can still play the game. You still can cheer. You still can believe. Even during the worst of times, even while you grieve. The 3,034 fans at Wabash College lived that on Saturday afternoon. You see, they were living witnesses who weren't about to let the shredding of red, white, and blue blood go unremembered. And that meant everything, since Wabash decided to go against most of sports America and play its college football game with Wheaton College. Football may indeed be just a game, but the fans at Byron P. Hallett Little Giant Stadium managed to make something inconsequential so very meaningful. If there was a more grief-sensitive place in the country, I would have loved to have seen it. Wabash basketball provided support for Jeff Espino, who had to leave school prior to his senior season after doctors discovered that his continued vision problems were due to a tumor pressing on a portion of his brain. Well, I'm happy to say Jeff's surgery was a success. He's now a teacher, a basketball coach, and more importantly, a husband and father in Texas. I'm also happy to say I was at Wabash when Jeff returned to school to not only graduate, but to play one last season for the Little Giants. His vision never really returned to normal, which limited his playing time, but he showed up at practice every day. I was at Wabash when Jeff checked into a game his senior season against Earlham College and provided one of the greatest moments I've seen by hitting his only basket that season in front of a packed Chadwick Court crowd. The Chadwick crazies nearly brought the walls down with their cheers and were quickly joined by the Earlham fans who understood the significance of that moment. Jeff was back, and by being a part of the basketball team, once again, that provided an anchor during those trying times. Well, I hope you've enjoyed hearing some stories of the Wabash athletic legends and have an appreciation for where this current group of Little Giants place is in the college's storied history. However, there's one other thing that I hope you take away from today. Through good times and bad, Wabash College remains. Athletics lifted Fran Hollett's spirits through her final years. It's guided me through difficult times in my life and the lives of many of our students. I hope you too can say as I do. I was at Wabash when I needed something to pick me up, and when I needed it the most, Wabash was there for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent. A couple of announcements. There's no TGIF tomorrow due to the Good Friday holiday. On Saturday, baseball is in Chillicothe, Ohio, competing against Case Western and Worcester. Track competes at DePaul, and tennis is in Ohio to take on Wittenberg and Capital. Have a happy Easter weekend. Please rise and sing Old Wabash.
From the hills of Maine, the western plain, where the cotton is blowing, the gloomy shade of the northern by the light of the southern seas, there's a name held dear and a color we cheer wherever we find it glowing. The tears shall rise from the longing eyes as close on the evening breeze. When the day is done, the western sun is painting a flashing glory. Across the skies, the gorgeous skies, the color we love so well. We love to sit as the shadows flit and bring a song story. We love to shout as the light dies out, a good old Wabash hymn. Our prayers are always thine, our voices and hearts combine to sing thy praise. In future days shall bring thy name before us. When college days are past, as long as life shall last, our greatest joy will be to shout the chorus. Dear old Wabash, thy loyal sons shall ever love thee, and o'er the classic halls the scarlet flag shall proudly flash. Go Wabash, long in our hearts will bear the sweetest memories of thee. Long shall we sing thy praises, old Wabash. And loud and long shall echo the song to hill and valley ringing, spread the fame of her honored name wherever the breezes blow. So sweet and clear the world shall hear the sons of Wabash singing. Flying free the world shall see the scarlet banner go. The honors won by each loyal son and highest ranks shall stay. Forevermore as the days of yore, their deeds be noble and grand. Then once again ye Wabash men, three cheers for alma mater. Whatever you fall, reared by all she and equal stand. Our prayers are always on, our voices and hearts combine to sing thy praise in future days shall bring thy name for us. When college days are past, as long as life shall last, our greatest joy will be to shout the chorus. Dear old Wabash, thy loyal sons shall ever love thee, and o'er the classic halls the scarlet flag shall proudly flash. O Wabash, long in our hearts will bear the sweetest memories of thee. Long shall we sing thy praises, old Wabash.
Jumpy man, sir.